First touch on the show this week, to use a soccer term, is to talk about EKU women's soccer with Nick Flory, the head coach. Good finish to the season. You got a big 1-0 win Sunday over Murray State to secure the 3 seed and a home game in the quarterfinal round on Sunday. That was a strange game when I looked at the stats. You got a first half goal and then held on the rest of the way.
Yeah, we've defended well the past couple of weeks. They took it to us, obviously. They had senior day, they've got a quality team. We could have helped ourselves out a little bit better by keeping possession more than we did, but the girls defended well and they knew what we needed and were willing to do whatever they could just to make sure we secured the win. So not the prettiest, but it still counts the same.
21 shots by Murray, 4 by EKU. They get 15 corners and you get 0. And so when I look at the stat sheet, I'm like, it had to be defense, and then Zoe Aguirre had 5 saves. Yeah,
it's one of the issues we've had is defending corners. So by all means, we don't want to give up 15 corners, but to defend that well is a plus going into the tournament.
The winning goal was by Erin Torrance, as we said, her 9th goal of the season in the 36th minute, and that set a school record for a season. Erin's really been your goal scorer.
She's been great, and she's been very efficient too. Looking at the overall records and stats for the conference, she's second, I think, in goals, but you won't see her number for shots taken. So she doesn't take a lot of shots, but when she does, she's been able to convert. So she's been great. The other girls have all chipped in. We've had pretty balanced. She's just taken over.
If Eastern Kentucky gets to the semifinals, they'll play in Martin, Tennessee in a couple of weeks because Martin is the champion. They do not lose a game in the conference. They have 1 draw. You were ahead of them until past the 70-minute mark, 1-0, and then 3 goals in 3 minutes. You had 2 yellow cards on a player that led to the red card, and you were down a player. What happened there?
Yeah, they're the best team. I mean, by far they've been the best team, and to go a person down with 20 minutes left, we were playing pretty well, I thought, up until that point, but the team is good enough to take advantage of being up a person. So we held on for a while and just had a really bad 3-minute stretch, and they took advantage of every opportunity they could. It would have been interesting if we could have played 11, kept all 11 players on the field for us to see how the game would have finished, but going down a player really hurt.
So Eastern Kentucky goes in as the 4 seed in the tournament after tying for 3rd in the OVC regular season standings. There'll be a game at the EKU soccer field on Friday between a couple of lower seeds, 5 seed SIU Edwardsville and 8 seed Morehead State. And the winner of that gets EKU on Sunday in the quarters at 1 o'clock. In that game, if you play SIU Edwardsville, they beat you 2-1 in Richmond. You beat Morehead in a crazy game 4-3 in Richmond. So both teams gave you a challenge in the regular season.
The most exciting thing about the season is the parity. Going into yesterday, only 2 teams had qualified for the tournament before the game started. So, every game has been tough. It's been tournament time for the past couple of weeks, and both teams, SIUE, Morehead, they were close. They're going to be close. This weekend, whoever we play, their game against each other will be close. So it's been exciting just because there is a lot of parity. It makes the games even more competitive.
What's going to be the key come tournament time? You've been a team that's played good defense, then had some breakdowns in a couple of games. You've struggled to find the offense, and now it's beginning to come. So where do you think this conference tournament's going to spin for EKU? What's going to be the key?
Defensively is the #1 priority, but we have to balance things out a little bit better. Like I said, we could have helped ourselves a little bit more yesterday by keeping possession out of pressure better than we did. We turned the ball over, and then they came right back to us. We got to minimize those kind of mistakes so we can build into the attack a little bit better than we did. So defensively, though, #1. It's got to be the defensive priority. That's what wins championships.
You can't look beyond the first game. You've been to the championship the last 2 years, 1 game at a time, or you'll be sitting at home season over.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a clean slate, season 4, what we say, preseason being #1 and non-conference, then conference. So it's season 4 for us. Anything can happen. There's a lot of parity in the conference, and even the top 2 teams can get knocked off on the wrong day. So it's an exciting time, but we're happy to be in it.
Okay, good luck, Nick, in the OVC tournament.
Yeah, thank you.
Nick Flory, the head coach of the EKU women's soccer team. Again, the Curdles will play either 5 seed SIU Edwardsville or 8 seed Morehead State in the quarterfinals on Sunday out at the EKU soccer field. First touch at 1 o'clock. When we come back, we'll meet the King. He's a basketball player, but he also did something pretty impressive on homecoming as well.
Every day is a concept that few people can commit to. Every day requires a level of dedication that forces you to test your limits.
Every day I'll give back to the community because I draw strength from their support. Every day the sounds of your cheers will echo through my mind. Knowing that you have my back means I can always look forward.
Every day I'll be too tired to sweat and my bones will ache. Every day will provide me with the slight edge that I need to succeed. Champions are built every day.
We move to basketball now, start with men's basketball here on the show, and Kirkland Humphrey. He is a guard on the EKU team, started as a walk-on, but the big fall, and you've had a big one, started with a surprise announcement. You were caught off guard. They gave you a scholarship in your final year. That had to be rewarding.
Oh, yes. It was awesome. It's just been a blessing, and I'm just glad that these past 3 years have paid off, and we're excited for this fourth year.
You played high school basketball locally at Madison Central High School, sophomore on the state championship team. You made the decision to walk on at your hometown university. Why that decision over trying to go to another level?
I just couldn't pass up on the opportunity to play Division I basketball in a basketball state like Kentucky, and just be able to wear that maroon and white. You know, it was a privilege, and I'm thankful for the opportunity.
So now you have a new coach, A.W. Hamilton, so it's always a transition. How have the guys taken to Coach Hamilton, and how's it been different? I know you guys have been working and running a lot in practice.
Yeah, we've hit the weights really hard. We condition all the time, and practices are real intense. We're getting up and down, but it's been good. Everyone's bought into the new staff, and A.W. is a great motivator and leader, so you want to do more for him, and all the guys are.
6 new players, some of them junior college transfers, some of them are guys coming right out of high school. Then you've got the nucleus back. So putting the two parts together, the new and the old, and you have a new system as well, what's been the biggest challenge and what's been the most pleasant surprise?
The biggest challenge is just, you know, we have young kids coming into college, and being a student athlete is hard, but they're bought in. AW's helping them. And then, of course, we have Mayo, who's a great leader and great player, and you can fit a lot of things around him with his talent. So
Nick Mayo comes in 250 points in his senior year, away from becoming the all-time leading scorer at EKU, passing Matt Widd, who's in the Hall of Fame now. Just playing with Nick and getting to know Nick, he's been a warrior his entire career. What's that been like for you?
It's been awesome to be around. He's a great friend of mine. He lived with me my freshman year, so we've become really great friends. But he's also a really hard worker on the court, and it's so good to see him get a lot of attention, and he deserves it, and I'm excited for him.
Now to something off the court. You were named Homecoming King on Homecoming last Saturday. What was that like? That's a little different than hitting a game-winning shot on the basketball court.
It was a different experience, but it was awesome. I'm so proud to represent my friends, my students, the faculty, and the university in Richmond, and it's just an honor to be Homecoming King.
General business major. What were you going to do with that? I know you're going to extend into graduate school.
We'll see what happens. I'm keeping all my options open. I was thinking about getting in some kind of sales job, but we'll see what happens with sports.
It is not easy to open and then face the schedule you guys are going to face. Your first regular season game is against Marshall on November 7th after you have an exhibition 6 days earlier, and then you go and play Kansas State in a tournament. I mean, this schedule is a huge challenge. What's Coach Hamilton and his staff just talked to you about the opponents you have?
We know that we have some really good opponents, but we're going to play hard as we can, and we're going to be in the games just because we play so hard. And we'll see what happens when we tip it off.
All right, good to have the King on the set with us. Congratulations on that honor. Congratulations on the scholarship, and we appreciate how you've represented the University, Kirkland.
Thank you so much.
All right, guard Kirkland Humphrey. Now here's what's up ahead for the EKU basketball team. They'll have an exhibition game at Alumni Coliseum on Thursday, November 1st against Kentucky Christian. And then they start counting wins and losses with a big season opener against an NCAA tournament team last year, that won a game in the Thundering Herd of Marshall. That's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, November 7th at Alumni Coliseum. We'll go from men's hoops to women's basketball when we return after this.
At EKU, you'll learn to take a broader view of your world. But we also understand it's the details that shape the big picture. So go ahead, play with fire, think on your feet, or touch the sky. Here, you'll be a part of something new, something big, something beautiful. Be a Colonel. Your time is now.
It'll be here before we know it, the start of the women's basketball season. It's a Friday game, November 9th against St. Louis. And one of the players, sophomore Valerie Clark, is with us. Valerie, this team has a lot of new players, but a lot of returners as well. And so it's a fun mixture for you guys to kind of figure out what's going to happen. How's preseason and now season leading up to the first game been going?
Preseason went really well. We had a lot of girls were working hard. It was new to them. You know, the freshmen coming in are experiencing a big change from high school. The speed of the game is so much faster, and just conditioning in general is going to be a lot more intense than you're going to experience in high school or maybe some of the JUCOs that the new girls came in from. But everyone has adjusted really well. We worked hard together. You know, I think we've had great energy in preseason and now starting official practice, and that's helped us a lot moving forward, trying to get better every day. So going forward from that, I think we're going to be looking pretty good.
Valerie is from Greenwood, Indiana, played at Center Grove High School, only played 10 games as a freshman, and you told me you had never been injured in high school. You come in, you start getting playing time, and then just the wheels came off. You had some tough medical conditions to deal with, and that has to be tough. Already as a freshman, it's tough. It turned out okay, but it wasn't easy. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I woke up one day, my arm was just stuck, wouldn't straighten. You know, we're just stuck at a 90-degree angle, and we thought it was a little weird. But it was odd, so, you know, you can't expect anyone to know off the bat what's going on. So we thought first maybe tendonitis, we treated it as that. And then we had an away game, so I went home since I was injured and I couldn't play. And we got it checked out, we got an MRI, and they said that maybe I had partially torn my bicep, but that there was a lot of inflammation, a lot of swelling, couldn't really tell. But that I might have to be done for the freshman season. And then a few days later, I'm still at home. And a good friend of ours, who's an orthopedic surgeon, saw me and was like, hey, why are you in a sling? You know, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I might have partially torn my bicep. We're not really sure what's going on. And he looked at my arm and he's like, I don't think that's what that is. So he sent me over to the hospital, and within 2 hours I was in surgery. I had had a staph infection in my bicep. So we had to get that taken out, get that taken care of. And by the time, you know, all that process was over, it was kind of, I missed a lot of the conference season, which was tough for me, but, you know, we came back from it. I got to play the last 2 games of the season, which was good. And, yeah, it was a struggle, but we got through it.
And thank goodness they caught it, because
Right.
it could have been bad. I mean, if it hadn't been found out, it could have caused a lot more problems.
Yeah, the infection itself can be very dangerous, and it could have led to things such as amputation, which, you know, I never like to hear. You know, I'm in the hospital for the first time in my life since really being born. And someone tells me, you know, if we hadn't caught this within the next few weeks, you might have had to amputate your arm, and that could have taken the game away from me. And that's like all I've really given my life to is the game, God, and sports. And that really crushed me, just thinking like it really could have been over, but thank God that it's not.
So now when the practice is hard, or you're at the line and you're down 1 with a 1-and-1, piece of cake.
Yeah, oh, it's not always a piece of cake, but
but it's
you know,
easy. I mean, it puts it in perspective.
Yes, it really
right?
does put it in perspective.
Yeah.
It makes me like appreciate the game so much more. And I've always felt really passionate about the game, but that happening and just thinking about, you know, all the things that could have came out of that and didn't makes me really appreciate the game so much more than I did before.
St. Louis on November 9th, as we said, you got to be pumped for the start of the season.
Yes.
What's the focus?
We have obviously a very tough beginning of our schedule. So, you know, we're really just focusing on getting our conditioning, on being able to run. You know, we got to be able to run with these big teams. So we've just been working on really pounding that in, just getting up and on the floor and just kind of getting ready to go against, because, you know, it's not going to be easy opening. We don't have an exhibition game, to, you know, to warm up, how people say, but the home opener is St. Louis, and we're going to roll from there and just we're going to do what we do, and we're just going to take the punches and roll right through them, and we're hopefully going to come out on top.
All right, stay healthy your sophomore year, okay? All right.
That's the plan.
All right, Valerie Clark with us as the EKU women open a noon game on Friday, November 9th against the Billikens of St. Louis. When we come back, we'll turn our attention to EKU football as Inside EKU Sports continues.
We are more than just athletes. We inspire scholars. We inspire leaders. We inspire champions. We inspire family. This is the Ohio Valley Conference.
We talk EKU football now with Mark Elder, the team now 3-4, 2-2 in the OBC. Didn't have a show last week, so 2 games to talk about. You win over Tennessee Martin in a good comeback by 1, and then lose 34-6 to Murray State. And the difference, one of the key differences, Mark, in those 2 games was red zone efficiency. Good in one game, not so good in the other game. And the red zone has been a challenge this year. Why is that, and how do you fix it?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the red zone is a huge, the yards don't matter. I mean, everybody looks at total offense and total defense, and those aren't the stats that matter in any way, shape, or form. Certainly red zone efficiency, and it's not just how many scores you have, but touchdown efficiency in the red zone is really the statistic that defines you quite a bit. And you know, obviously we were terrible in the last game. We had 4 red zone appearances, and we came away with 6 total points. I mean, on a bad day, you want to say it's going to be 12 points with 4 appearances in the red zone. That should be a bad day. To come away with 6 was worse than bad, obviously. So we need to do a much better job. We had 2 turnovers in the red zone. One of them was a huge turnover where they basically had a pick 6. They returned it all the way down to the 1-yard line. So we've got to do a better job in the red zone. You know, and you look at what happened, I mean, in the ones outside of that, I mean, we misfire on on what could have been a touchdown pass where we had a guy open and just left it a little bit short that forced us into a field goal. And then we took a sack, or we gave up a sack on another one that forced a field goal. So we've got to do a better job of going out and finishing drives. I mean, total different game if we go out and we go 4 for 4. I mean, but the reality is we didn't. So we've got to do a better job in the red zone. That's going to be a major emphasis for us again this week, and that's got to be an area of improvement.
On your post-game radio show to me, you said your team has to, quote, have a better plan, end quote, on offense, and your passing attack has to, quote, end quote, complete the ball down the field. Through 7 games, that hasn't happened enough. How do you make it happen now? What's the key to turning that part of your game around?
Well, I think that having some more balance is going to be part of that, and really being able to have a wider variety of pass selections. You know, we've certainly taken our fair share of throws down the field, but they've been more what I would consider shot throws. So we need to have more balance, not just between run and pass, but within our pass. We need to have more balance with short, intermediate, long throws, all of the above in that category, because we've been a little bit more of run or shot type of team. So we need to incorporate more short, more intermediate throws in our pass game. I think that will certainly help us for sure.
It's an Eastern Illinois team that comes in to play Eastern Kentucky this week. They won 24-21 over Tennessee Martin in overtime on a Nick Bruno field goal. They play 2 quarterbacks. One of their quarterbacks, Jonathan Brantley, 12 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions this year. He split starts with the other quarterback.
Yeah, he's got tremendous numbers. He uses his legs quite a bit to extend plays and so forth, and has great statistics. Obviously, you referenced the 12 touchdowns, no interceptions. Their other quarterback has 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So they've been just very, very effective throwing the football. They've got one of the premier wide receivers in the conference and the country. He's really, really good, number 15. He's an outside receiver. He's got, I believe it's 12 touchdowns, close to 900 yards on the season. He's really good. Their other receiver, number 6, Gooch, he's also up there statistically in the top couple of the conference. So having 2 very, very good quarterbacks, 2 of the premier wide receivers in the conference, there's a lot that we've got to defend this coming up week. And I think they're solid up front. I think that they've got a good running game, but they lean a little bit heavier on the pass. I think they're effective when they run the football, though.
Alexander Hollins, the receiver that's caught everything this year, he has been tremendous. They're not really good statistically on defense, and so this is a team in Eastern Kentucky. I mean, this is another chance at a bounce back and getting back to 500.
Well, I think that they played some explosive offenses that skew that just a little bit, but I think that they played very well last week against Tennessee Martin. You see in that game they held them to 21 points. I think that they're a young secondary that's getting better week by week. They've got a stout front where there are a lot of thick-bodied guys that are hard to move. A couple really, really good linebackers. The Caputo kid, I mean, he's been making plays since I've been here. I noticed him on film quite a bit. And then a true sophomore, the Johnson kid, number 51. He stood out to me a year ago as a true freshman. I thought he was a really physical player, and I think he's still a really physical football player and a good player. So I think that statistics can lie sometimes. I think that they are a good, solid defense, and we're going to have a great plan this week offensively.
Okay, best of luck against the Panthers of Eastern Illinois.
Thank you, Seth.
Always call it the Eastern Bowl. It'll start at 1:05 on Saturday for the kickoff. We'll have radio coverage at 100.7 FM. You can use the TuneIn app to get there as well, or our stream off EKUsports.com, and our television coverage on ESPN+. Again, EKU and Eastern Illinois. And that does it for another edition of Inside EKU Sports. Always keep up with EKU Sports by liking and following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That does it for another edition of Inside EKU Sports. As always, go Big E.